honored and privileged that we are able to meet here in Parliament House. Of all the places where we could have met, Parliament is one place that we would belong in. A parliament is a humanist institution. It is a result of recognizing the inherent worth of each of us and the equality of all of us. Because a parliament is a reflection of the institutions of democracy. And what is democracy if it is not humanism? Liberty, equality, fraternity. Liberty, that is our right, that helps us fulfill ourselves, lets us define meaning of our own lives. Equality, which is not merely a legal construct, but a moral concept that we are all equal in dignity. And fraternity, a word which needs to be now updated to mean solidarity, human solidarity. I think friends prior to me have referred to the idea of human solidarity, whichever words they have used. And that is important because we are human society, and society is really humanity's herd. And within the herd, we try to seek meaning in life and achieve something. Now, is this exactly what everyone else meant by humanism from this stage? I do not think so. Humanism is now a well-defined word, a well-understood word, and it is also an ancient tradition. It was not invented 200 years ago. The word might have been, but humanism as an idea is as old as religion is. Which is why in all the religious texts, you have references to the humanists and atheists in very negative terms. On the other hand, a humanist gathering like this is able to welcome those who may not agree with us, because humanism is also about dialogue. Like what parliaments are. They are about dialogue, about discussion, about taking things further forward, but in the light of reason and knowledge. Now, we can say what we want about faith and religion, but one thing for sure, faith is what makes us stop asking questions. It's reason, it's critical intelligence, it's rationalism which lets us ask questions. The moment faith is brought in, the need to answer the questions disappears. The time that we have reason with us is when we are able to celebrate that very basic of all human instincts, curiosity, wanting to find something, and to define for ourselves lives which are full of freedom and with the fragrance of positive thinking, we can take humanism forward. Humanism is not humanityism. Humanism is not simply the word human. It is a philosophy of life for the human. Religion is mostly the philosophy of God. Humanism is a philosophy of the human, to celebrate our basic human capacities, capabilities, so that we can build on them. Einstein. Reference was made earlier to Einstein reminding people that religion without science would be blind and science without religion would be lame. What did Einstein, a non-English speaker, mean by religion when he spoke about it? Einstein was born into a German-speaking family, and he was challenged and he was asked why, as someone who does not believe in God, he did not believe in God, why he used the word religion. And like a non-native speaker of the language, he said, by religion I simply meant that great wonder at the universe. For want of a better word, I use the word religion. Einstein was also asked about religion specifically. I forget how many years ago, 7 years or 8 years ago, that handwritten letter by Einstein was sold for £150,000 in an auction. It's worth several million today. And in that handwritten letter, I think from 1954, Einstein clarifies that all religious texts and religions are reflective of the childish phase of humanity. What he meant was that religion was not for the mature mind, but it was for a different stage in the development of the human mind. Let us remember these things. Thomas Kuhn, of course, spoke about the structure of the scientific revolution and about paradigm shifts. But the essence of Kuhn's ideas, but not only Kuhn, of Popper and the others who gave their time to the philosophy of revolutions and to scientific revolutions, is this: that we are today in a different frame of mind and life in the history of humanity. You know, when people say science doesn't know everything, and a religious person is telling us that science doesn't know everything, feel free to smile, because religion doesn't know anything. That is a fact. How the universe came about, what did religion tell us? How the universe functions, what did religion tell us? What is it that religion said which still is valid and true today? That the world was born out of a giant egg? That it is a result of sound? That a serpent which was curled around itself caused the earth and the universe to come? Is it the union of the sky and the earth that gave birth to the rest of the universe? That's what religion told us. So let us not go to religion for the answers about the morality, about the origin of the universe. Can we do that about morality? The other reason people go to religion. How are we to lead moral lives, fulfilled lives? How are we to define the relations between humans? This is a serious challenge. Now, I don't know if we can find the answers in religion for that. There is one religion which tells you that humans are born in sin. How can that be a theory of morality when a holy book, already holy book, that itself is a dangerous thing to say of any book? One can confidently come here and say things about science and say that is rubbish. Try saying that about religion, you'll have a blasphemy case. Let us define the domains in which we are operating and thinking. Religion allows no room for free thought. It has in fact infested states with the so-called libel of blasphemy that takes away from people the right to speak about it. Another religion tells us that all men are brothers but forgot to say anything about the women. Shall I get my morality from there? We have another which says the whole world, the whole universe is one family, but forgot to tell us how the caste system can be reconciled with it. That hierarchy of inequality, that system of discrimination that comes because of your birth. Yes. The pressure, the challenge of humanism made some of these religions more human. The humanization of religions happened because of humanism. Not without the challenge of humanism, because of the challenge of humanism. Where do we find these people? You find them already amongst the Greeks, and before the Greeks, amongst those who we would call today Indians. The Buddha was taught by a person belonging to the school of Sankhya, of Kapila's thinking. It was already several hundred years old. Mind you, the Buddha did not propose a religion. He did not even want to engage in discussions about God or rebirth. He was talking morality, moral philosophy. And then, even before the Sankhyas, who were the ones who said that something cannot come out of nothing, by which he meant, Kapila, he meant, for something to exist, it has to be forever. It can't come out of a vacuum. By which Sage Kapila meant there was no creation, because you can't create something out of nothing. Already by the time Kapila spoke, you had the Vaisheshikas, and they were proposing an atomic theory for the universe. Do not look into the modern textbook of atomic theory or the facts of atoms and compare it to the theory of that time. That's not the purpose. But for the first time in recorded human history, people were looking for natural answers to questions about nature, not supernatural answers. Now, was that religious or scientific? It is scientific. It is following a method of inquiry, which requires you to show that your conclusions can be replicated. Is that dogma? No, it's a method. It's a system that guarantees that there can be no failure in thought. It's a means of going to an answer step by step. Is the scientific method ethical? Absolutely ethical. You know what? It is a scientist who wants you to disprove his theory or her theory, because then you will get closer to reality and the truth. It is a religious thought which will kill you for answering any of those questions, because it is not what is in the religious book which was revealed. It is not what the sage or the prophet asserted. So, there is a divide. Saradigaru was very kind in examining this divide, but it's a real divide. We are in a new phase. We are in a world, in a mindset where a claim to the truth has to be justified by facts. After all, what is truth if it is not the content of knowledge? And how do you get to knowledge? By closing your eyes or opening them? By not breathing anymore or breathing more? How can one imagine reality when it is there for us to observe? And when we are talking about the method of science, we are talking the method that all rationalists employ. Thomas Jefferson was referred to by the Honorable Member of Parliament. Thomas Jefferson, one of the founding fathers of the United States, he said, "Bring reason and fix her firmly on her throne, and to her tribunal call every claim to the truth." And one by one, by one, by one, all the claims made in the name of God and in the name of unquestionable revelations fell. It is only those which can stand the test of reason and the method of science which will be accepted as reality. That is why creationism is left somewhere behind, and you have a modern understanding of the universe. That is why we have moral philosophy, because religion could not offer adequate means to become moral and remain one, because it was founded on the challenge and the threat of punishment after death or reward after death. Humanists want justice in this world, not in the next. If you really believe in rebirth, please lend me $500,000 Australian dollars. I will repay in the next birth. Often it is pointed out that religion has some problems. Those problems with religion are the problems of human rights, which is why we want to challenge. If you want to hold a belief, there is absolutely no problem. It is when this belief is claimed to be science that those who have an affinity to the scientific method will say, because you said it is science, let us see if it stands the test of science. Science is not saying it is religion. Science is saying religion is not science. Do not make claims on behalf of science. Say it is my belief and that is my inspiration, and that is perfectly fine. Each of us gets that inspiration from one fountain, source or another, and that's perfectly all right. Is saying science and religion are not the same extremism as was suggested from here? I don't think so. That's clarity in definition. How can a circle be a square? It can't be. And why should you want a circle to be a square? You need not. And then some people say there are problems in science, with science. Yes, there are. There is internal dialogue, and science improves. Science betters things, abandons theories, adopts new ones, tests them, and is ready to correct at any point of time. Are there problems with the theory of evolution? Yeah, there are some. But you know what? That's not the problem with the Bible and science. It's not a problem between the Vedas and science. It's not a problem between the Quran and science. It's a problem within science. And therefore it's not a problem. It's an argument, it's a debate, it's a discussion, it's research, it's analysis. It's moving forward to discover the truth. That's the difference. The problem of science is not a problem because it's a dialogue, it's a discussion, it's an investigation. It's in religion that you have a problem, because it's not open for discussion. Have you ever seen one religious leader, just one, 300 religions born and dead, more than 300 gods existing or not, because people stop believing in them, gods who would require people for their existence, not the other way. Are we alive because of gods? No, gods are alive because humans are believing in them. The other way. Now, show me in these 300 odd religions, one's dead or now alive, active or not, authoritarian or liberal, just one man, because there are no women religious leaders, you know that, don't you? No religion has ever been founded by a woman. There's no prophet who is a woman. It is a kingdom of men. And show me one man with a beard or without, old or young, dead or alive, who says, oops, I made a mistake in my religion. Just one person. Just one. One guy who says, this book is wrong. My book is not right. Knowledge tells me something else. Name just one person. You will say, oh, the Christian Pope said we are sorry. We punished Galileo and we killed Bruno. And then we were wrong about Darwin. No. Don't be fooled by that. Don't be fooled by that. It came to a point of such ridicule that they had to admit for their acceptance by the others. But very few people ask the question, who the hell were you in the first place to say whether that was right or wrong? Who asked you? Who gave you that authority to kill people? Don't now say you were wrong. You never were right, that's a different thing. But you never had the business to inquire into the beliefs of people and make pronouncements about the truth or otherwise of something. The paradigms of religion and science are separate. That's the theory. But humanists will work with religious, irreligious, a-religious and anti-religious people. And that's the difference. We believe in human solidarity, and human solidarity means that of everyone. To embrace the human, to welcome the universal identity. Prasad Raj Garu said, let us not have these small identities, let us have bigger ones. Embrace all of humanity. And that is what humanism talks about. But we must be very clear, I must say, that the humanists are those who look for naturalistic answers to question about nature, not spiritual answers. Humanists are those who believe that morality is secular, not divine. That humanists are those who seek their inspiration in the framework of reason, not irrationality. Now, what are humanists offering? They are offering an alternative. They're not looking for a fight. They are looking for and offering an alternative to the traditional authoritarian systems of thought and social organization, both. A mention was made about immigrants. Those who are here know that in Sydney, many people of Indian extraction were unhappy this meeting was going to happen. In fact, they contacted Parliament House to make sure that this meeting wouldn't happen. Why this fear of reason? Why this intolerance? What is multicultural Australia? If you can't accept multicultures, then you should go back home. That is the reason we established the South Asian Humanist Association, not to work in India, Pakistan, Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, or by extension with the Maldives and Mauritius Islands. It is meant for the 30 million people who have left India, their place of birth, and settled all over the world. And as many numbers, when you combine the rest of the migrants from Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, Bhutan, and the rest of the countries I mentioned, Afghanistan too, for them to have a liberal alternative, so that an association of expats doesn't become a religious group which will not allow any other idea than what its beliefs are. That's the reason SAHA exists. Have you, people who are benefiting from multicultural Australia, the great liberties that are given to the people who live in this society and this country, those who have accepted an Australian passport, have you seen any of them fight against the caste system, or have you seen them set up groups in this country along their caste? I know the answer because I know the facts. It is for those who do not want to be in such a cultural ghetto that they can find people who will celebrate the great liberal traditions of South Asia, some of the first countries in the world, some of the first societies and geographies in the world where liberal thinking originated, recorded history. Now, what about those who believe in the ideas of the Buddha, who are inspired by the Sankhya philosophy or Vaisheshika, not to repeat it but to develop it? That's the difference between revivalism and Renaissance. Revivalism is saying your sages of 4,000 years ago made aeroplanes. Renaissance is to pick up the great liberal open thinking of that age and to bring it to a contemporary form today. SAHA wants to do that. To have what Chris, the Honorable MP, said, an enlightenment in our communities. Do not even for a second think we can do it without light. And the only light we can get is from the enlightenment, from reason. The darkness of authoritarianism cannot take us forward. There can be no doubt about it. Human history, human nature, contemporary experience is that. Science. Science is all that there is. You know what? For a long time, religion fought science. That could be Galileo. That could be the excommunication of Charaka. You know that the great medical men of India were excommunicated because they dared, Susruta and Charaka, because they dared to investigate the human body, which would give you impurity. There was a time when they sent off Vesalius to go and plead in Jerusalem that what he did was wrong because he was a doctor and he looked at the human body. Religion fought with science then. Today, you know what? Religion is saying it is science, therefore believe me. match that to the thinking of the people who are telling us today that in turmeric and cow dung there is science. People who are still reading an old book in a language which is not anybody's mother tongue anymore. How about reading the universe like a book? That is what science does. And we say science for society. What we mean is to open up newer vistas of freedom for those who want to be modern people. And I tell you, the bus is here. It won't wait for long, it'll go. You decide whether you want to be in the bus or stay where you are. And many have decided, sadly, to stay where they are. After the great scientific achievements of Arabic societies, before the European Renaissance, we know where those countries are today. Start from Bangladesh, skip over India, or continue with India, because India houses one of the largest populations of Muslims in the world. Go through Pakistan and Iran and Iraq and go up to Saudi Arabia and go to the northern parts of Africa and see what religion has done there. How can you say, don't fight religion? It's that form of religion we are fighting. The one which denies you freedom to be human. Are we fighting with the religious people? No. We are all together. We are fighting with systems that stop people from opening up their minds and become modern persons. That we are and that we are benefiting from. Modern values. Human rights. It does not mean that humanists want a state religion of humanism. No. The state should have nothing to do with a belief system. What business does a state have to be able to pronounce some things as true or false? It can't be. Neither humanism, nor communism, nor Hinduism, nor Christianity, nor Islam should be the identity of a nation or of its state. Human rights and human values, which are universal, should be. I will say one last thing, and that is again in the nature of science. Tell me one religion which says it is universal. Just one, not many, just one.
Local, all local.
One religion which says, I embrace all of humanity.
Catholic Church claims to be that.
They want to be universalizing. They are not universal. They want you to convert into them. And then they will defend you. Till then, like the Pope had the temerity to say about people living in Asia, that we are all dark, living in dark ages. And he wants to bring light. What? He works for the electricity department or what? How dare he say that? Universalizing, but not universal in its embrace. Actually, there's one religion, if I want to convert into it, they don't know into which caste they can put me in. There's also that problem. There is exclusivity of membership. Humanists should not be like that, are not like that. They are working towards a system where we won't have that. We all walk together in the celebration of our common humanity, in affirming our human solidarity and living our lives in our own light. And that, you know what? It's possible only for the scientific mindset. Science is universal. Human rights are universal. Human values are. Religions work for those who believe in them and then who want to be within the framework of religion, whether free or oppressive. For them it works. So when we talk about SAHA and Science for Society, I would like to say that we are talking about different mindsets for sure. But we are not talking about people who are fighting others. They are only handling, responding, and sometimes resisting those things that stop us from remaining where we are. What are the social factors that led us to the world of today? What a grand, successful race the human race has been. You can show me the Great Barrier Reef, and you can show me the plastic bags that penguins are eating. I understand. But you know what? Over 7.5 billion people, all of us once born to one single mother, probably 200,000 years ago, probably 300,000 years ago, but our maternal DNA, mitochondrial DNA, is the same, the mitochondrial DNA, for all of us. We were all born to the same mother. How many fathers we don't know, but the same mother. Can there be a greater spiritual fulfillment than the realization that every human alive today is related to the other human? You want to be connected to all of humanity, and for that you want to close your eyes and think about it? No. Open your eyes and look at science. It tells you we are all the same. It's facts, it's verified, nobody can refute it. The ones who imagined told us they were castes, that they were genders, and that all of us were not the same. It took 300 years for the church to understand and to come to the conclusion as to whether women were human, because they couldn't figure out if they had souls. If you didn't have souls, then you were not human. Are there 4 castes or 4,000? There are surely at least 4 blood groups. And those are not things meant for discrimination. Human rights, human values, science, all of them universal, all of them optional for you, unless you are impacting somebody else's life. Humanism is about choice, it's about democratic values. And I'm hoping that when we have South Asian Humanist Association, and it is such a delight that the Humanists of New South Wales here, the Humanists of Canberra, the Humanists in Melbourne, came forward to support and encourage us in what we are doing. What we are doing is unusual. This is not a group which works in India, in Pakistan, in Nepal, in Bangladesh, and so on. It's a group working outside that geography for those who come from that region. To connect them back to the great glorious past, if they want the past, or to connect them to the present, if they are interested in helping the welfare of contemporary society. And along the way, fight with superstition. The earth is a sphere, and yet flat earth geomancy, feng shui, or vastu takes away the minds of people. The earth goes around the sun, but many expat Indians want the sun to go around the earth, which is why they believe in astrology. They do not believe in the unity of all humans, which is why they hold on to caste. And they say caste is culture. It is not, it is a cancer. It divides people, it destroys humanity. It is one of the most pernicious systems of discrimination of human society. Which is why even today, and that includes Pakistan and Bangladesh and Nepal, 25 crores, 250 million people living in the subcontinent are considered untouchables by origin or by caste. Australia has 25 million. We're talking about 250 million people living there, not considered human. Search your hearts, you will find out religion and authoritarian culture has been at the heart of it. Don't want to call that culture. That's crime. But there is so much to celebrate in Indian culture, in Pakistani history, in Nepalese history, in Bangladesh, in Sri Lanka. Can we do that without being parochial? Can we do that being open? And can we do it as human beings rather than with our passports or our parents' passports as the guiding light? So SAHA throws a challenge. SAHA throws a challenge to the expat populations of these regions. SAHA has started radio shows regularly, 2 hours a week. And looking back, we have 100 hours of, I will say boastfully, some of the best programming you can get in the Telugu language on humanism and science. Let's do it in Malayalam. We have friends. We have friends from Bombay. We have friends who can give contributions. Because culture is not always only the past. Culture is what happens now today, what we are creating. If you want to celebrate Indian culture, celebrate it by participating in it now, not repeating what others have done, especially their mistakes. Gender equality, already mention was made. Domestic abuse of women in expat communities. It's not a fiction. It's a real problem. What can we do? These are the areas I hope our friends here would be engaged in. I'll tell you one thing before I close. I came to Australia not really knowing who I would be meeting and what I would be encountering. I did not have a date for my return ticket, though I had a broad idea, 3 weeks. And it's already 5 weeks and I'm looking at 2 more weeks. Thank you for that warm welcome. And that could be in Saradi Garu's studio. That could be with the friends who have invited me to Humanist homes or to meetings of language groups, Sydney Telugu Association, in Melbourne, in Canberra. That tells us we can work together. Surely we don't have to agree on everything, but we need to agree for sure on the welfare of the people who we are trying to address. And that's what those I have disagreed with from this stage have also been emphasizing. So we are united in that common enterprise of making it good for everyone who is here. And that kind of work is surely possible through SAHA, Science for Society, science clubs, to build a culture of science, not culture versus science, a culture of science. When has an immigrant group, especially coming from the subcontinent, ever organized a science show? They only do dance shows which are based on Hindu religious mythologies. Why not that? And this, why not use a traditional dance form to explain science or celebrate science? Creativity has no bounds. And those experiments can be done here. And these are thoughts that came up when I saw this great grand welcome. And not just to me, but for the ideas we are celebrating. I almost feel like if I get a work permit, I should sit here in Australia and build SAHA. That's the kind of connection I made in my mind with what is here. I feel very good having met all the friends and also the people who disagreed, because they challenge our thoughts, and that is great. And maybe when we are wrong, we can correct ourselves. And if that openness, I hope at every meeting of SAHA and Science for Society, we should be able to have some discussion and dialogue about the nature of science. And And that would be wonderful. Thank you very much. And this has been great talking to you about what I personally think should inform the humanist movement around the world. Thank you very much.